told him I'd be on at 9:53.
You know that window pops up where you put in the keys from Restream? All the info in there.
Why'd you start recording it?
He's a top five. He's a top five player, but if you go position by position, I'm sorry, he just doesn't make the cut.
All right.
Going live. So everything you say now, everybody's going to hear.
Oh, good. I love Alonzo. It's all good.
You know, the 10 people that are listening, they're going to hear what we think.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we're doing a couple clicks. Ready? All right. This is Hoya Locker Room, episode 50. As I've been known to say, this is one I've been looking forward to. This is one I'm really excited about, and this will probably be the best one ever. Needless to say, I have two lawyers on the phone, so on the call. So it may get a little bit long-winded. There may be some litigation, but at the end of the day, I don't think you have three finer gentlemen in terms of representing what Georgetown University and Georgetown basketball is all about. So without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, Frank Ciatto, Mark Guerrera. Mark Guerrera is president of the Hoya Hoop Club. The Hoya Hoop Club has been in existence since about 1972, Mark, am I correct? 73, maybe along those lines?
A little bit later than that.
77,
yeah.
I think it's 77.
Exactly.
Mark is the 11th Hoya Hoop Club president. And just for to let everyone know, both of these gentlemen I'm very close to. I think they're both incredible people. Frank is president of the Georgetown University Alumni Association. Frank graduated 88, graduated law 94, parent 21. His wife also graduated Georgetown 89. Mark graduated 91, cum laude.
Could you repeat that again?
Pardon me?
The last thing you said about Mark, the very last thing you said.
Won't you just correct me?
No. I'm not correcting you. Okay. I'm asking you to repeat it. What you said?
Cum laude.
No. What? He graduated when?
I think I had it down as 91. Is that?
Yeah, that's an excellent year for Georgetown graduates.
I knew where he was going. I knew where he was going the whole time.
Yeah, because you two thieves in the in the store. And of course, my illustrious producer, friend, Markham Stansbury, is going to be with us throughout, I hope. And Mark is actually, Guerrera is actually out and about supporting his family, as both these two gentlemen are incredible family people. So if you have to jet, Mark, we'll understand. I think we can hold down the fort.
I'm good.
If I miss anything, Markham, please, in terms of introing these guys.
No.
Good?
I think you got it.
So let's just jump right into it. When I think of volunteer, when I think of support, you two gentlemen come to my mind. And if anything, I've followed your lead. It took me a while to kind of get that bug. But I'm full throttle now, and I just like to hear your story, your journey to the hilltop. Frank, I know you're Jersey City through and through. Mark, Fairfield, Connecticut, is that correct? Fairfield?
Yeah, Stratford is the town, but it's in Fairfield County. You got it.
Okay, so yeah, you two are I-95ers. So I kind of like to hear your road to Georgetown. Don't leave out anything. And, most importantly, I mean, you guys started your volunteerism early, and it's been decades. So, just from the rip, I want to salute you for everything that you've done to this point. And we'll start with Frank, actually, if you don't mind.
Sure, Gene. So yeah, thanks. Thanks for all the kind words. Jersey City through and through. St. Peter's Prep High School, Jesuit High School. And if you have any connection to Jesuits, you know that when looking at colleges, they conveniently suggested places like Boston College, Holy Cross, Marquette, and the other Jesuit schools, as if no other unaffiliated Jesuit schools existed. My short list of schools included most of those. Seton Hall was the local school, and I was lucky enough to get a scholarship there. My mother thought her dreams were answered when I did, and then I had to bring in a legion of my high school teachers to convince her and my dad why Georgetown was the better choice for me, even though we were going to have to pay for it to some extent. Jesuit, the Jesuits really sort of fed me during the early years. First person in my family to go to college. Didn't really have a guide other than, teachers and friends that I was close to. That's how I got here. I mean,
was LMU on that list, Frank?
What's that?
Was LMU on that list?
No, although Bo Kimball shooting lefty free throws, because I'm a left-hander, Mark, and still is in my head.
Another left-hander. Markham's a left-hander. That's all I need.
Right brain.
I got to tell you, Markham, though, seriously, for someone that never got to college, barely did any visits, California might as well have been, Asia. That was way too far away for me to be able to handle, at 17 and 18.
I can relate well. I did a program at UCLA called the LEAD program when I was a rising senior in high school, and had a great time. It's quite frankly probably the reason I'm in LA now. But I did my application, and I was very naive. Got to the post office and ripped my application apart because I told myself there's no way I'd be able to succeed in school and be at UCLA because I'd be at the Laker games courtside. No clue that I wasn't going to ever be at the Laker game, hanging out with Showtime.
Celebrity Row.
I would add also freshman year, first semester, even with basketball and all the good things to come. I had some buddies from my high school that went. I was brutally homesick. Second semester, it all got better, but those first few months, Marriott food and the like. I mean, I'm Italian American. You could probably guess that I was used to getting some pretty decent home cooked meals. It was rough. The first semester of college was rough. I think I've been a good counselor to my daughters about it, just because I'm sure they've done better than I have in dealing with just the transition.
Mark Guerrera.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Let me hear that story, man. And before you start, a shout out to your moms. I hope she's doing well. We send her our best.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. And let me thank you and Markham for having Frank and me on. It's a true honor to be here with you guys. As Gene said, Gene and I are close friends, and Markham and I are close friends as well. And I've so admired what you guys are doing and the support that you guys are providing the program, and it means a ton. And getting our fan base excited, getting people to the opportunity to know so many of the wonderful people that you've had on this show. I mean, it's such a treasure trove of information of people getting to feel like they get to know some of the legends of the program. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for what you guys are doing to make that happen. It's just so unique and it's so much fun.
I got to interrupt you. Like we always say, I got to pause you for a second. Just so you know, the graphic, one of the graphics that I put out for today's show is 2 legends are on the show today. So you both, and I know I can see it in your faces. You both don't understand. Again, there's such a thing as behind the scenes. There's such a thing as you know, doing the dirty work. And you're talking to 2 guys who basically that was their athletic careers, was doing the dirty work. So just so you know, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you know, again, please continue. I'm just 2 legends on the phone.
You're always good to interrupt me. I'll give Frank legend status. I'm not sure I deserve it, but I appreciate it.
We'll give the Doran brothers legend status.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll roll with you on that. And Gene is kind of hilarious, putting me in the same boat as him in terms of the athletic. I was the head manager. He was the captain. So let's be real clear. There's a little distinction.
See, and Markham and I go through this all the time. He acts as if there was a pecking order of how Big John talked to people while we were there. So again, Markham, I cleaned as many wet spots on the floor as you did.
Sorry, Markham, you know Gene's always going to be the humble one. And you know, the fact that he was captain of the national championship team is going to be the last thing he'll tell you, which is part of why he is who he is. So my road to Georgetown, at some similar schools to Frank, Boston College and Holy Cross were on my list. I hate to say it, but Villanova was on my list. They offered me a scholarship at Villanova, and my parents were likewise somewhat disappointed when I said there's no chance I'm going to Villanova. But Holy Cross is really probably the school that I came down to, and that's because my dad went there. And, you know, my dad, Gene, you know this, was my ultimate role model. And just because he went there, it was always a school that was of interest to me. But when push came to shove and he took me on a trip, we went to visit after I got accepted to both. He took me to Holy Cross one day, and then we drove from Worcester, Mass down to DC. And I spent a night at Holy Cross, a night at Georgetown, and I was convinced where I was going to be, and I never looked back. And you know, Frank, it's interesting. You said you were homesick first semester, which, you know, happens to most every college student. I remember my parents dropped me off in New South. I was sad for like a minute, and 2 hours later, I was having a blast. I was like, oh, this place is the best. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, and Georgetown to me, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but what I do with the Hoya Hoop Club, it's so important to me because it allows me to make so many friends, meet so many people, and to connect Hoyas to one another. And that to me is a huge part of it. Obviously supporting the team, the program, doing what we do to help in whatever ways we can, the team succeed on the court is critical. But on a personal level, the friendships, the opportunity to meet guys like Gene and Markham, you know, I wouldn't have had that opportunity without my role in the Hoya Hoop Club. And I guess Markham and I knew each other a bit in college, but we became better friends afterwards through Hoya Hoop Club events. So I'll pause there.
So Mark, that's actually a great lead-in to a question we have for you. What led to your involvement in Hoya Hoop Club?
I got involved in 2002. Coach Eschrick reached out to me. I got to know him a bit, and he asked if I would be interested in being involved. And he introduced me to the leadership at the time, Michael Karam, and I got involved, you know, gradually. And, you know, 2002, I was starting my career more or less. You know, you're just trying to make your way. I was in a law firm, and, you know, it's hard and have young kids. So the time commitment to put into it, I never expected that I was going to ultimately agree to become the president of it, but that's how I got involved. And then just as time went on, I realized that doing this and serving in this capacity was really my passion. So it just kind of gradually happened as I got more involved over the years, taking on different tasks before I became president. Al Baza was president before me, and I tried to get more involved in helping him in different initiatives that he was pursuing. And it just kind of progressed naturally from there.
You know, guys, it's funny because you know, when Mark talks about the time frame, I'm 3 years older than you guys, but the time frame kind of links up. I did some things with my class. Like in the early years, I was the guy that, you know, manned the phones for phone-a-thons and called people and asked them to give. And at a time when really just about the only connection Georgetown was making to alums was asking them for money, either through, you know, written solicitations or the calls. And I liked I was more than happy to call people, chat them up and see if I could get them to give. But the money side of things wasn't really, you know, where my heart was. Within the class of 88, I went from that to being communications chair, which was more in keeping with my personality. And in and around 2002, 2003, I signed up for the Board of Governors, not unlike Mark a few years ago and Markham this past year, on the theory that I had, you know, some close class ties, but I really wanted to deepen the Georgetown commitment by getting to know people, you know, in prior years and, you know, and obviously now it's been future years. And that's been really great. When you bond with friends and volunteers that have a common purpose, and whether you have loved Georgetown from the time you were there to right here, whether there were some bumps in the road, some things that disappointed you, whatever it is, I mean, and Gene, you know, in doing this Hoya locker room talks about family. I mean, you're not always happy with your brothers and sisters, you know, whatever might go down in your family, but then you always sort of circle back and say, you know, you can't take those 4 years, and for me now the 30 plus since then away. I mean, it's given me much more that I could give back. So it's been kind of fun to really get to know people. Mark and I now go back 4 or 5 years, and that's been a fast friendship. And Gene and I a little bit longer than that. And, you know, Mark, you're kind of stuck with me going forward. Sorry.
I want to interject. So Frank and I have a mutual friend, and this mutual friend told me about Frank long before I was able to, you know, lock eyes with him and have a conversation or our own relationship. And I can just tell you, you know, we were at a Hoya Hoop Club meeting and Frank had on Michigan colors. And I said, I like this guy. I like this guy. He, you know, he knows where his heart is. He knows where his passion is, his commitment is. And this just happened to be something he pulled out. And as it relates to Guerrera, we've been, you know, thick as Steve since the first time we met because of his passion and commitment. And as I stated earlier, these guys have brought me along, and I don't even think they know it or aware of it, but they just brought me along in terms of my recommitment to the university, my recommitment to the basketball program in terms of this is 2021 now. The 80s were the 80s, the 90s were the 90s, and it's not about so much for me the past, because when we and I'm going somewhere with this, so just hang in there with me. Giannis said something this past weekend after Game 4, and he talked about the past. You know where I'm going with this, Mark. The past, the present, and the future. And the past is so much about ego, right? And you know, when I bring on former players and I share their story, it's just because it's never been heard, and it should elicit a response from anybody that's interested in going to Georgetown to know what we're about. When you talk about the future, that's a pride thing, right? So I want to talk about the youngins that are coming in now. You know, I want to be able to, you know, share their story. Why did you choose Georgetown over such and such? And then when we get into the present, that's where that humility lies, right? That's where what we're doing now, that's what you guys have done over 2 decades or 3 decades. That's so humble. I mean, you're our best kept secrets because you're behind the scenes and you're not looking for fanfare. So I just wanted to interject that because I'm just here for the color. Markham got all the questions. I'm just here for the color.
Well, I have, based on what you just said, I have a question for Frank. Was it a Michigan shirt or just the Michigan color?
Markham,
I wish I could pull it up, Mark. I wish I could pull it up.
Thanks for keeping us honest. So my 3 daughters went, 2 of them went, one of them will be a senior at Stone Ridge School of the Sacred Heart in Bethesda. Their colors are blue and gold. It was not a Michigan shirt. And I mean, let me just say, like my middle daughter is going to be a sophomore at Holy Cross, and I love Holy Cross, right? I've got my one shirt that I'll wear, you know, at appropriate times when I'm watching her on the soccer field. But I'm completely blue and gray through and through. I have friends that have sent their kids to Syracuse that I took a year off from even talking to them, just being upset about the decision, knowing full well. I told one of my buddies, if I ever see you wearing anything orange, you know what's going to happen. And I've got a photo I can show you of his ripped Syracuse shirt.
He's from Jersey City.
I
told you he's from Jersey City.
I got to say, I'm very glad to hear that, because had I not heard something along that lines, I would never call you Frank again in your life. I would call you Kevin. As in Kevin. So it's funny what you say about the Syracuse thing. When I was a senior, we had a recruit come in, and I was super happy because he was from Memphis. Kevin Miller, who, based upon what he wore to practice, you would have thought he was going to surpass Patrick Ewing, because what he wore to practice made me so angry, I was literally ready to fight. He came down to practice in a Syracuse sweatshirt and Syracuse sweatpants.
That's a deal breaker for me. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah, like for me, that should have been a wrap. Like, he's not coming. But somehow Craig Esherick and John Thompson and Mike Riley decided that he should wear the uniform. Yeah, I was not happy about that.
Wow. So, Markham, I was going to say, there's no chance Frank would have stayed in a Hoya Hoop Club meeting if he was wearing a Michigan shirt.
Thank you, Mark. I agree with that.
He would have been so quickly thrown out of the room. You kidding me?
And by the way, we're talking about Michigan. It's even worse now, right? I mean, in Michigan, they weren't really a natural rival. It's much worse now.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Frank,
I was going to say one other thing, which I didn't give about why Georgetown for me. And although I'm not a basketball player, I'd like to pretend I am. It's John Thompson. I became a Hoya fan when I was like 10 years old, watching them on Big Monday on ESPN, and before that, in the Missouri game. And I just became a huge Hoya fan, and John Thompson was my idol. And I remember when I first visited Georgetown, this is before the trip that I mentioned with my dad. I just had come down. I had some cousins who lived in the area, and went over to just walk around campus. And I saw Patrick Ewing. I was like, damn, this is the place for me. And then that visit that I took, it was on a Sunday. And Markham, you'll remember our freshman year, Sunday night in the pub was Soul Night. And the guys who I stayed with took me to that. And it was the best time. And I was like, this place is so cool. And it was just so different than what I had seen at other schools. So just the whole amalgamation of that. But it was really about John Thompson. Obviously, the education was really important to me, and it was the best school that I got into. But it was really John Thompson and the Hoyas that made me interested in Georgetown to begin with.
So
I think that's true for a lot of people.
So Mark, you said something that jogged my memory. Can I share with you a real quick Patrick story? I worked down at the gym when I was a freshman. I worked for Max, who was the groundskeeper. I drove the team to and from the airport for that year too. Very stressful. But the first time I went home,
he said, Mark, very stressful. It is stressful.
I'm gonna let you finish, Frank, but I'm gonna come back to that.
Good. So first time I flew home, I flew People's Express to Newark, which if you were going to Boston, you had to get off the plane and get on another one. So Patrick was on the plane, and my parents met me at the airport. And again, first kid and first person in my family to go to college. And Pat got off the plane before I did. And I ran up to my parents and was like, "Did you just see who walked past you?" And I just love this. Neither of them saw Patrick Ewing because they were focused on their baby boy coming back home from college.
That's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Great.
That's crazy.
So you said it was stressful driving the scene to the. First of all, that's interesting. I've never heard of that because that's not how it worked when I was there. But how did that happen? Number one. Number two, why was it stressful?
So do you remember those vans? So I don't know how Max had responsibility for, picking the people that drove, but usually what I remember most was, I would pick up you guys must have taken the most ridiculously early flight because I'd be picking up at the airport at like 7:30, from maybe it was Boston or, or New York or someplace like that. But I remember it being real early, everyone being quiet I was always in the Mrs. Fenlon van, and everyone was quiet except Mrs. Fenlon, who was rattling off who had which class when and reminding everyone of their, need to get, to class. And then again, it might have been like 8:30, and she was talking about, like someone needed to get, and all I could think as and I was not like I wasn't bonding with anybody or chatting with anybody. It's like being an umpire. Like you only get attention if you screw up. So I was just white knuckle driving, like, please don't screw this up going over the Key Bridge from National.
Yeah, the stressful comment made me think about, I can't remember if it was 92 or 93, but Georgetown played Memphis, and it was around Christmas. And I know that because I was home for the holidays. And so I went to, we went to dinner and then we went to a movie. And when we left the movie, I was in the lead. I wasn't driving. I'm 2 years out. I'm not getting called motherfucker every week. And I've realized I'm actually a human being. And
there's an MF jar. Somebody pull out the MF jar. Pull it out. You would think it would be me. Pull out the MF jar.
So I'm leading, like giving directions to how to get back to the hotel, but I haven't lived in Memphis in, at this point, 6 years, and the city had expanded, and I directed them to make a wrong turn that took us like 5 minutes out of our route. And then, and on this particular bus, it was me, Mike Riley, and Big John. And then because we made a wrong turn, I started getting called motherfucker. But I really didn't care. I was like, hey, like, we made a wrong turn, we'll get up. And when we got off the bus, I remember Mike Riley coming up to me and said, Marco, man, I understand, man. That pressure can be tough, man. That pressure. And I was like, look, man. Yeah, I mean, that's how you rolling, cool. But we made a wrong turn, we'll be okay.
I was lucky. I don't know that I ever had Big John in my van. I mean, I probably drove 6 times, and I think I was 0 for 6.
Well, I'd like to ask both of you. You're heavily involved with things on the hilltop. I'd like to know, I mean, Mark, you kind of touched on how you got involved, but I'd like to know, like your outlook, your perspective, like your journey in terms of, getting to the board of governors, your journey in being president of the Hoiboo Club, in terms of the contributions you felt that you've made over the years, and your outlook, things that you want to do. And I just want to, as a sidebar, I mean, what Hoiboo Club has done this year in terms of the communication piece, in terms of the camaraderie piece, in terms of the shows that they were having on game day. I think it's been off the chain. I think it's been incredible. There's passion and energy there. So I'd like for both of you can kind of touch on that. And as you said, because things are evolving now, particularly with the name, image, likeness scenario, and how you see that playing out going forward in terms of your contributions and your leadership, being in the leadership role?
Yeah, so there's a lot
that
there.
Was a mouthful.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Plenty to talk about. So in addition to the Hoop Club, like Frank said, I have been on the board of governors for a number of years. And like Frank, I've done work with my class committee since graduation, really, and helped plan reunions, 5th, 10th, up to the present. So I've been actively involved as a volunteer at Georgetown because Georgetown's so important to me. It gave me so much, kind of along the lines of what Frank said. I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity to go to Georgetown and to have really developed the friendships that Georgetown has provided me, the opportunity of people to meet. Yeah, I love it. And giving back has always just been a part of the fabric of it. Like I said, Georgetown basketball is a particular passion. I've always been a huge fan. And doing whatever we can on the Hoop Club to support the program, to me is, first of all, it's a blast, but I do think, critically important. Obviously, the program has needs on a daily basis. A lot of what we do is to support, efforts in fundraising. I did a lot of that when I was vice president of the Hoop Club under Al. I put in place a number of initiatives to try to increase fundraising. It's something that's obviously still critically important and will never not be. A good bit of the money that we raise is due to the required fees that people have to pay for their seats. So this past year, we didn't have that money. Some people still philanthropically donated that money, and that's great. And we're so appreciative of people who were able to do that, but not everybody is able to do that given the year that we've been through. This year, we're looking to get the fans back in the seats, which is going to be awesome. I know people are going to be excited to be at the games. That's going to help, I think, with fundraising. I think our events this year, I'm really excited about, because I do think there will be a lot of, first of all, excitement about the team. We're coming off the Big East championship. Let's pause on that for a second. We're the Big East champions. Like, this is a big deal. And, I said this on one of our Hoop Club events. I think, since my time at Georgetown, we've won the Big East championship twice. 1989 with Alonzo and Charles Smith. In 2007. It's crazy. So now we do it this year. And this year, a year that nobody had expectations for Georgetown to be good. Obviously, Coach Ewing said it 1,000 times, started from the bottom. Now we're here. I know you love that, Gene. But it's true. Nobody projected Georgetown to go on the run that they did. And the team was struggling before that COVID break. And then they came back with this new attitude and toughness. And they gelled together and they played incredibly well. And then they went on what was a tremendous run. And they beat some damn good teams along the way. That Marquette game, the first game of the Big East tournament, was a great game. Then beating Villanova, and we were down in that game 2 minutes. And it looked like, all right, this is it. Our run's going to end. We faced Villanova. Came back, won that game. That Seton Hall game in the semis was, I think, one of the best Georgetown games I'll ever remember. It was such a battle, great game. Jamarco just played his mind out defensively, shutting down Mamu. And then, of course, the championship against Creighton, which, it was awesome that it was such a dominating victory. But it's almost at the end of the game. It's like I was watching with my son. We got up to hug after the win, but it's almost at that point anticlimactic because you knew for 45 minutes we were winning that game. But it's kind of fun to take that pressure off, and it wasn't a buzzer beater. So, now coming into this year, we got a great recruiting class and some good transfers coming in. And there's, again, a lot of excitement around the program. We have a tough schedule, and, it's going to be exciting to see what these guys can do. I think, again, it may take a little bit of time for the team to gel with so many new pieces, but you got your sophomore, more like a junior point guard now, leading the helm. And, Dante Harris was just unbelievable last year. And he comes back with Donald Carey, who had a great year and had some big games and some big moments. I've never seen a guy make more 4-point plays in a season in my life. And, Dante grew up so much from, starting as a freshman in the Big East and leading that team to the Big East championship. I mean, the future's so bright for him.
Kind of reminded me of Michael Jackson starting as a freshman.
Yeah.
Mark, you mentioned the Villanova game. All of them you're right. They were all great games, but the Villanova game in particular, made me smile. And you talked about how it was 89, 2007, and now this year. And I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I can remember repeatedly hearing freshman year, they've only had 8 of these things. We won 5 of them. I call that dominance. And
my info popped out. My earpiece popped out. That's dominance, yes.
What I hope my hope is for last season to be a springboard for us to return to, people always say the new world order. We need to get back to the old world order in a basketball sense, and put Villanova in their rightful place, which is somewhere behind us. So that's my hope for that.
Yes, sir.
Frank, you mentioned earlier that, and this is something I want to ask both of you. You mentioned that you didn't have a problem getting on the phone with people, asking them to donate money, but that wasn't really where your heart was. Both of you, Frank, you're the president of the Alumni Association. Mark, you're president of Hoya Hoop Club, and leading those organizations at Georgetown. What's the best thing for you in doing it, and also the worst thing?
So the best thing, Markham, is it's nice a little bit to talk about where you come from, because I think for me it creates a level of credibility when I talk about matters of inclusion. Diversity, equity, inclusion is the phrase, but inclusion is the one that I focus on. The best thing that I get to do as president is make everyone that I touch and speak with know that they are part of the Georgetown Alumni Association as an alum. No dues, no special criteria, no poetry contest or essay contest to join. And maybe that wasn't always the case, not necessarily intentionally, but just through prior actions or inactions of our alumni association. And so groups like Sol Hoyas, the alumni, African American Alumni Board, and others sprung up, as they should have, to address people's nuclear needs and wants for connection. I think all of those organizations are great. I think I forgot the Black Alumni Summit too. I think all of those organizations are great. And you and I have talked a little bit about this, but the thing is, for me, this is not an or proposition. All of those groups should exist as they continue, or maybe in some different form. But for me, the Alumni Association is, I want every alum to feel like they're part of the larger whole. That's by far been the best thing about being the president, being able to spread that message credibly, right? I'm not pandering. I'm not, trying to, sell myself as somebody I'm not. But, I believe strongly in that. And when you grow up in the city, the inner city, and you grew up playing hoops, playing on sports teams with African-American friends, having African-American friends your whole life, then it's a pretty easy thing to talk about credibly. The hardest thing, Markham, it's funny because Gene said, is there anything that's off limits? There's nothing off limits, but the hardest thing sometimes is the pace at which being a partner with a university can be. I'm somewhat of a straight line person. Let's get on the phone, work it out, and move forward with whatever our solution is.
Yep.
And being a partner of let me do it, Gene, a big ass university, it's sometimes not as easy as, the closest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That can be a little frustrating, but not insurmountable.
I just want to say, Number one, I appreciate what you just said about the Alumni Association being all inclusive, number one. Number two, that it's not an either or thing. And I know that that is genuine with you because I did my own research on Frank Ciatto before throwing my hat in the ring for the Board of Governors, and I'm really glad I did. Really glad.
And as you should have, and I'm glad you did.
I'm glad you did too, fam.
So
Guerrera,
Mark,
you're up, Guerrera.
So
that's hard to follow, by the way. That's hard to follow.
It is. Frank's hard to follow.
Just pause for 1 second. If you see me adjusting my glasses throughout, it's because I asked Mark to, watch our episodes from time to time, and the only thing he has to say is your glasses are crooked. So
constructive criticism, man. Frank's a hard act to follow because Frank is a great leader, and the Alumni Association is very fortunate to have Frank at the helm. I feel kind of gypped that Frank's first year as president of the Alumni Association was during COVID, and he didn't get to do, I'm sure, so many things that he would have wanted to do, and including just the regular meetings that we had, that he did an incredible job running them virtually and keeping people engaged and advancing the purpose, and particularly on the diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, where Frank continues to do tremendous work. So, Frank, I just applaud you. I feel very fortunate to be on the Board of Governors under your leadership.
I appreciate that, Mark.
And having Markham join us, when I saw that Markham applied, I was ecstatic, Markham. You and I talked about it. You're just a tremendous addition. I'm really excited to have you part of it. For me at the Hoya Hoop Club, I've kind of already touched on this before in terms of what I enjoy about it so much and what's so great about it. First, I get personal satisfaction about doing things that help the program. It means a lot to me, and working hard with the folks on the board and our fans to come up with different things that we could do to support the program with whatever they may need, and creating fan support through our events. Our events are something that, I always find to be very fun, and I love getting Hoya fans together. When we have a strong event where there's 400 or 500 fans there, it's just incredible, whether it's in DC or New York or somewhere else on the road. And pause for a second. We're heading to Anaheim, as folks know, for Thanksgiving for the Wooden Classic. There will be a Hoya Hoop Club event out there. So I hope a lot of you can make it out to California. I hope you two who are out there, Gene and Markham, will be there. I suspect you will. I will be there. So that will be one of our first events this year. But, bringing Hoya fans together, bringing alums together, that's a critical part of what we do. And for me, I've always felt that Georgetown basketball connects Georgetown people, alums, fans, everybody, in a way that most other things cannot. It just provides such a great opportunity to be together, celebrate one another, celebrate a game, get dinner or drinks with your friends, go to the game. It provides so much opportunity. And then for me, I obviously travel to a lot of road games, which is, again, a blast because you meet alums in different parts of the country. I've met so many people that I would have never had the opportunity to meet were it not for the Hoya Hoop Club. So that's critically important. Supporting the players, current players, former players. We do a lot, and I put a lot of effort into making sure that the former players know that they have lifelong support. We are here for former players, and that's what we're about. We're a community where we're supporting the team, not just for the 4 years the guys are at school, but throughout their lives. We are a family, and playing in that role is really, really important to me as well. And, I just want every former player, man, not just players, managers too, Markham, don't downplay yourself because the critical role that you play. And I have a lot of good friends that I've had the good fortune of meeting who are former managers. I've had the fortune of meeting because of my role in the Hoya Hoop Club. So, all of that to me is so rewarding and makes it just a blast. So that's why I do it. It's why I continue to do it. I've been the president now for 8 years, so it's been quite a long time. I'm now the longest tenured. We had a vote, by the way, that just recently for the officers again. And I saw the tallies, and several hundred people voted. There were 2 no's, and it's anonymous, so I can't see who the no's are. But if anybody is one of the no's, please reach out and let me know, because I want to know, what can we do better?
I'll reach out every night. You don't pick up the phone. I'll reach out. I'm going to both of you, great answers.
So wait, no. Mark talked about why he gave us half of the answer.
Yes. Thank you.
Markham. Go get him.
The negative is I got to take Gene's calls all the time. He's
not lying. He's not lying. He's not lying. I do want to, again, I think I said in the beginning, what these 2 gentlemen represent to me is something that Coach had a quote, and I might be off on the quote, but he talked about tradition. And he always said tradition is represented or is by the players. The players create that tradition, not the coaches. And I just want to include you 2 gentlemen in terms of what you do and all your support staff and the people that you represent. You're part of that tradition, right? And if we don't have tradition, then, we're kind of lost at sea. I'm a legacy, history, pride guy, right? And to me, that's what Georgetown gives you the ability to tap into. And it's like when we're all said and done, what we leave behind, I expect or I suspect that someone will pick it up and run with it. The whole thrust behind Hoya locker room is to get engaged more, to help get the message out more. And that's kind of where I wanted to touch on now that I have you guys. We're coming up on an hour, just to let you know, that's kind of, we let our guests know. Because again, it's a Sunday. You both are tremendous family men, and I appreciate your time, but I'm letting you know. So if you need to cut it short, we respect that. But I do want to get a couple of nuggets, a couple of gems in terms of how we can push this thing forward. Because I'm always in Mark's ear about how can I help? How can I do more? If there's fundraising opportunities, I'd love to be involved. Once a while back, Mark actually pulled me in to make calls on the phone just to reach out to donors. I think a more active role by former players is just a no-brainer. Like, that should be organic. The Hoya Hoop Club is one of the oldest athletic clubs on campus. So the more we can do, the better. And again, my conversations with Frank have always been forward thinking. How can we collaborate? What can we do more of? So yeah.
Well, Gene, one of the things that we talked about, right? And thanks, Mark. The whole COVID thing has been a challenge, but 2-year window, no big deal. We're going to just all keep pushing forward, right? And as things begin to open up, one of the initiatives that we haven't really been able to attack yet is making Alumni House feel like home to all of our alums. And event planning with the Alumni House in mind, and a basketball alumni event. All of those things are really things that we need to put our heads together as leadership. Hoya Hoop Club, the Alumni Association. I mean, it's a block off of campus. There are way too many alums that don't realize that there is a home when you're on campus. And those are the types of things that I want to put our heads together about and not wait. Once the university puts forth some policies about what types of events that we can have on campus. And I think even though it's a block off campus, it's considered campus. We need to start to do those types of things. We can certainly bring in current players to educate them about the Alumni Association's offerings. I had connected with Patrick Ewing Jr. about these types of things, sent him a one-pager about all the offerings, but we can reinforce that by, by getting together and making sure people know that there's a home away from home when they're on campus.
So since we're coming up on an hour here, I'm very curious to know from both of you guys, your all-time Hoya starting five. We're gonna let Frank go first, but here's the deal. After you go, Frank, Mark can pick from anybody else except the five you pick.
Nice. So Markham, I mentioned this to you guys at the top, right? So I played basketball in high school and wasn't very good, but I did play. Even though we're now in a positionless society in the NBA where there's stretch fours and centers that shoot threes and all of that stuff, I want to keep it, along Gene's lines. I want to stick with the tradition. I'm not going to give you the top five guys in Georgetown Hoya history. I'm going to give you the best 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 position-wise, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and so Guerrera would do the same.
All right, good. So as Gene and I have talked about, the easy three are the guys that played the 2, 3, and 5 positions. And so for me, Sleepy at the 2, Reggie at the 3, Patrick at the 5. If anyone wants to dispute that, they should hand in their Hoya alumni card, right? So then we're just talking about the 1 and the 4. And we can have differences of opinions on the 4 because so underrated and so good down low when he got the ball in his hands was Mike Sweetney, but it's not Mike, but I love Mike Sweetney, right? And Billy Martin was an awesome 4 also, but it's not Billy Martin for me. It's Jeff Green. So he's my 4, right?
Wow.
And this is, and you got to know my limitations are I'm not as old as Gene. So I can't include Craig Shelton because, Craig Shelton's before my time. And similarly, I can't include Bebe at the 1, even though he probably is, I don't know if he was a 1 or a 2. He was a kind of a combo, but I didn't, I was in 6th and 7th grade at the time he was doing his thing. So I got to put him to the side. So for me, it comes down to 3 guys for the 1. And Braswell has the stats, but he didn't have a lot of the success. And really, I will pick somebody, although I think it's a tie between Michael Jackson and Charles Smith. I actually spent a little time this morning going back and forth, but I ultimately settled
lawyers.
But I'll tell you why I picked Michael Jackson and why Allen Iverson hasn't been mentioned. I picked Michael Jackson because, and I think, Gene, you may have said this, I don't think there was a point guard since I've been a fan that subrogated his own game so that others could flourish. And I really think that's what a point guard is, right? Michael Jackson could have definitely scored more if he looked to shoot more, but he definitely made other people better, to his own detriment, probably. Charlie Smith was, ridiculously awesome in every way and underrated. And I have no issue with either of those. The reason I'm not an Iverson, like Iverson's not there because I don't think of him as a 1, and there's no way he was better than Sleepy Floyd at the 2. I don't care who wants to say that. So, and look, that's not to say that he wasn't an unbelievable all-time great NBA player. He just should have made Jerome Williams and Othello Harrington much better than he was able to do during his 2 years at Georgetown. And hopefully you invite me back, but that's how I see it.
The only thing I want to add, just because I like saying the word pause, the only thing I want to add is Michael Jackson, for me, the way he turned into a defensive problem was just so impressive. He didn't come in with that. I mean, MJ came in a little with moonwalking, came in sexy. But when I saw him starting to D up his sophomore year, and there are instances where he was ripping guys, I just said to myself, this guy, he's got the complete package. So I just wanted to add that. I'm back on mute. I wanted to give you some time to think too, Guerrera.
So who is your 4, Frank?
Jeff Green.
You want to listen?
Jeff Green. Okay, I was crossing off Pete names. I forgot who he put as his 4.
Frank's a little bit more prepared.
Oh no, I'm prepared. I just got to, look, he's picking the first 5. Now I have 125 years of basketball history almost to be thinking about. He's leaving me Allen Iverson. So I'm taking Allen Iverson.
Wow.
Of course you are.
You have to take Allen Iverson. We all feel sorry for you.
No, I'm saying he's giving me Allen Iverson. Now Michael Jackson.
So Allen is your 2.
No, Allen's my point guard.
You're going Allen at the 1. Okay.
Allen's my point guard. Michael Jackson is somebody I would have considered. And I'm sitting at South Lakes High School right now where my daughter's playing softball. So shout out to Michael Jackson.
Sorry.
I hope the building doesn't burn down.
As I was thinking about this, there's so many guys, right? And if you're going to name a second team, you could have debates for weeks on end. I think I agree with you, Frank, that, you're not going to leave Reggie, Patrick, or Sleepy off. You can't. But then you start thinking about guys that I won't ultimately be on the 5 that I'll name, which is crazy that they're not there. Othello Harrington, Mike Sweetney, Craig Shelton, Charles Smith, who you talked a lot about, Jerome Williams, Victor Page, Greg Monroe, Chris Wright, Austin Freeman, Jason Clark, Joey Brown, Jonathan Wallace, Fred Brown, Derek Jackson, Jim Brown, my buddy who's on the board.
Hey, Mark, one thing I should say is Jonathan Wallace. I should have mentioned him because I love that guy. I mean, he should be on, if you were starting a 12 where you had to pick 12 guys and you had one guy left, he should be at a minimum your 12th guy because he was awesome.
Hey, Mark, don't let Frank interrupt you anymore. It's a tactic. Don't let him do it.
He's not distracting me.
My bad.
I think about the guards, Markham, when we came in, the guards the year ahead of us, Mark Tillman, Dwayne Bryant, incredible careers. When we go, Daryl Owens, Shanti Cook, Brandon Bowman, that team under JT3 that beat Duke and put Georgetown back on the map, going to the Sweet 16 in the second year. And what a run they all had. DeJuan Summers, Jesse Sapp. I mean, you think guys like Heidi White, Jagan Mosley, who did so much in his 4 years. A guy like Jabril Trawick, who was just brought it all.
So heart and soul.
And then I was thinking of guys who didn't stay their whole careers, left for whatever reasons, that were so strong. Guys like George Butler, who played with AI, and I thought he was just phenomenal. Lonnie Harrell. I remember sitting at a game, Markham, when we were in school at USA Arena, and Lonnie was just on fire. And it was an early game that there weren't a lot of fans at. And Big John, you just heard him the whole game. Give the ball to Lonnie. Give the ball. That was the offense. Give the ball to Lonnie.
So Mark, me and my boys, we always referred to Lonnie Harrell as high sock. No one wears socks higher than Lonnie Harrell.
Jerome Williams.
Yeah, Jerome Williams did.
Jerome. And the guy who first did it, I think Sleepy wore socks high, but I was thinking Smitty.
Smitty did.
That's like a DC thing. If you wear those socks, that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
It's not a DC thing, but that's okay. That's okay.
Hold on. Let me correct myself. That's an elite player.
Shots fired. So, Guerrera, are we going to hit this 5 or not?
Yeah. So you're going to hear it, and then I'm going to give you, my next 5 of guys I haven't named yet, as I was just listing through. some of the many greats. And I could go on for
Yes,
obviously forever talking about everybody. But look, my second team, I gave you Allen. He's on it. At the 2 is Bebe.
That's smart. That's smart. That's very smart. That's very loyally. That's very good.
You know, Alonzo or Dikembe, and you're not going to let me start them both, huh Markham?
No.
Nope. Your coach played them together a few times at Twin Towers.
Not enough.
Not enough. Had he done that 89, Duke wouldn't have got off to their trajectory of where they are now.
Just so you know, there's a shadow behind you, Markham.
So I'll go Alonzo. Sorry, Dikembe.
Alonzo at the 5.
Alonzo at the 5. I'll go Otto Porter at the 3. And I'm going to put David Wingate in there.
David Wingate at the 4?
Yep. We're going small ball, current day.
Wow. Wingate at the 4?
But look at this team that
you're gonna pass over Mike Sweetney.
That's what I thought you were going.
Put Wingate at the 4.
You know what?
Those 2 people might have been on. The 2 people who went against you.
I named Sweetney right away. So
I mean, Daryl Owens is on record as saying, I understand what Patrick did, but I'm gonna tell you, Mike Sweetney is the best I ever seen do it. I can't wait to show him this clip. David Wingate at the
Marker, we're going to edit. We're going to clip that specifically.
Mike and I will talk. Mike's one of my buddies.
Hey,
look, it's hard.
Markham, he was so good position by position. He was following the rules.
I'm trying to follow your rules. That's exactly it.
Well,
exactly it.
We love Wingate.
What I will say.
David Wingate was a hell of a ball player. Let's not.
We love Wingate. Yeah,
absolutely.
Hell of a ball player.
I mean, if you just had to have Wingate there, me personally, I would have put him at 3. Like, I could make a case where you could say Wingate could play 3. I could walk down. I could hold your hand and walk down that path with you. At the 4, I'm struggling. But given your explanation that we're going small ball and we're playing today's style, I mean, everybody on your team is small with the exception of Bebe.
Right. Alonzo's my small center, right? And he's
actually
he can move.
Zoe actually had a very nice top of the key jumper. People probably remember him most for the time he put the Celtics out when he was with Charlotte. But I saw very, very many breaks where he would trail on the break and he started clapping his hand at the top of the key, pass me the ball. He wanted to shoot that shot.
He was doing that as a senior in high school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I would say is looking at, like, given your stipulation that you're playing small ball against Frank's team, there's a very good chance that this game might end in a tie. I'll be honest.
They're going to run.
So
they're going to be fast. Allen's going to run them. Bebe will run with them. Otto will run. David Wingate.
So the way you break the tie, I think you guys got to pick who's going to be making the Gatorade for the team. And since Frank,
I will.
Since Frank got to pick the players first, I'm going to let Mark pick the managers first.
Ooh.
Damn.
You get 3? How many you get? 3 or 1?
You only need, let's give you 2 managers.
Okay. I got a couple other teams. When you gave me the position, I'm not done yet. But look at this one team that I put together of Roy Hibbert, Michael Graham, Jaren Jackson, Billy Martin, Gene Smith.
Roy Hibbert, Michael Graham,
Billy Martin, Jaren Jackson, Gene Smith. I just started throwing names together, like who might fit.
Points.
Yeah, I know. I'm trusting you and Jaron can handle the point together there, Gene.
I'm talking actual points.
He's talking points.
Oh, who's going to score?
Jaron Jackson's going to take. You're talking to a guy who hurt himself on a layup and couldn't play on the national championship. A breakaway layup. A breakaway layup.
Only thing good is I made the layup.
Jaron Jackson's going to score the points on that. He's going to take all the shots.
He's going to definitely take the shots. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
All right, managers. This is tough. So many great managers in our history.
Markham, can I vote on the managers as well?
No.
Frank, without hesitation.
So many friends who are managers too. A lot to think about.
You already lost one friend, so.
I lost you? I'll put you in there.
No, Mike Sweetney. You already lost one.
Sweetney and I are buddies. He knows we're just playing around here, and I got this weird rule. I thought Mark was going to say you can't put Alonzo and Sweetney on the same team. They're too big down low. I don't know what Mark was thinking here. I got a team that's running. I'm going with it. They're going to score. That team's going to score, be fast, and they'll defend.
He still defended it, Frank.
And I probably would have put Markham on my list of managers, but I don't know anymore. David Green, you guys have had on this show.
Mm-hmm. He's an amazing. I don't know David personally. I've just grown to know him through this show. He's an amazing person. I can't wait to meet him in person.
He's awesome.
I can't say. I really look at David on the episodes, Gene, and I can totally see Big John calling Markham a motherfucker, but I can't see Big John calling David Green a motherfucker.
The jar is overflowing now, and I haven't contributed once.
It's amazing, all the rules that they put on Eugene, and you're the good one.
So you got David Green.
I got to give a shout out to my buddy Kenny Brown, who's on the Hoop Club board, manager from the late '80s, great guy. There's so many though.
David Green and Kenny Brown. Frank?
Yeah.
Oh, so since I can't pick Kenny and David, then I gotta go. Don't call me Jaime, James Pena, and Markham Stansberry, of course.
Well, I thought Mark was gonna just walk away with the close win by picking me, but he just distanced himself from his '91 classmate, and now. I mean, I don't think there's any way Frank can lose this game. I don't think there's any way. He's got me and Jaime, like it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Oh God.
This will be the only episode that Markham will agree with me that this has been the best episode. Like, this has been great. I hope we can do this again privately. Because I don't even know if the verbiage, I don't even know if the conversation would change, but this has been awesome. I have one final bonus question, and I kind of alluded to it earlier in the pregame. I need to hear your most famous athletic moment. Frank, I have some goods on you in the summer league, in the league that you played on, so I kind of know your game. Mark, you alluded to earlier that you like to get a little scrappy too. So if you could share with us your athletic moment, because if someone asks me, I want to be able to repeat it.
Who's going first?
Markham, you're not allowed to answer this either. You're not in this guy.
We're going to be going for 2 more hours if we let Markham talk.
You got too many.
Yeah, we're going to be on this call till 5 o'clock if we let Markham start telling his stories. You want to go, Frank?
Mark, I'll go. Senior year in high school, I was probably the 8th man on the team, a slow-footed left-handed point guard. But I did get some late run against Ferris High School and hit 2 free throws to win a league game, when I was a senior in high school. So I'll call that what it is.
That's it. That's good.
That's solid. I was the scrappy guy, like Gene, like the way you like to describe yourself, never the star. I played baseball, was probably my primary sport. I loved to play basketball, but I was a just under 6 foot guy who liked to rebound and battle down low, and that game got away from me as I got older.
So Mark, you played the 4 then on your team, I guess.
I know that it doesn't have to be defined by just some big guy. Anybody can, look, Charles Barkley was 6'4", played the 4 forever.
I love this.
I'm not giving in. Although I do. I mean, look, to leave Mike Sweetney off is crazy, right? Because he is. I agree. Mike Sweetney definitely belongs in the conversation. One of the best
you
boys
can't clean
ever.
it up now. Can't clean it up.
But I just want to know, Mark, is what's in that Starbucks cup that you've been putting up to your mouth every once in a while? It's not coffee. That's much I know.
It's just coffee, buddy.
Ooh, this is great.
So probably my highlight was hitting for the cycle in baseball with the home run being a grand slam.
Love it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Love it. Well, gentlemen, much appreciation, much respect. Again, I thank you for all you do. Markham usually takes us out with something profound. I'm going to jump in here because, again, something hit me the other day, which is, again, I think it sums up how I feel about this quartet. History does not repeat itself, right? But it does rhyme. And you guys are helping with that rhythm. And I can't not thank you. And that was Mark Twain, by the way, not Gene Smith. I cannot thank you enough for your commitment, your passion, your leadership. Again, I want to give a shout out to Markham. Congratulations on the Board of Governors, dude. We need you. The game needs you. Ashanti Cook, shout out. He's in Space Jam. That's a definite shout out. I had shout out to Chris Wright. Signed again. He's going back over to Italy. This will be his 6th season there. And then a shout out to Michael Graham. He's the head coach of the PG Valor. And I actually saw some footage of him, eerily similar to another 6'10", 6'11" coach we know. Just his verbiage. So with that, if you guys want to.
Hey, Gene, and Sugar Rogers too.
Sugar Rogers,
yes.
Thank you. Sugar Rogers, back on the hilltop, from the room to the tomb type scenario. I love that. And that's when I think about Georgetown, those type scenarios are powerful. That's what we represent. And again, I'm not a guy who's hanging on to the past, but our past is so prevalent. Just that common thread, that theme throughout. And I want anyone to wear the blue and gray to be able to access that. So the more we do, the ability to access that the way that they want to is again what I'm trying to provide. So I'd like to bid adieu. If you guys have anything else you want to say, that's my salute, my Hoya locker room salute to each and every one of you. But I really appreciate you, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us, Gene.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Keep doing this. This is so rich with tradition. And I mean, it's an honor, as Mark said, to be with you guys today. It really, really, really is.
Yeah, thank you both. I do have a quick question. I'm looking at your background, Frank. I see Adidas.
That's what I do.
So Sophia, who just graduated Georgetown in the spring, she's an art history major, and that's some of her work.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's nice.
It is Adidas. Well, that's good eyes.
Nice. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and we'll definitely have to do this again. Maybe
yes,
preseason.
Yeah, that'd be great. Look forward to it, guys.
Maybe
let
after.
Me just say.
Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that I want to thank you guys too, and just to the Hoya fans, thank you for all your support. And we're going to really look forward to being back, filling up stadiums this year and supporting this team. So I hope you guys will get out there and get behind these guys. It's going to be an exciting year. And I know they're going to really enjoy having fans supporting them. I heard so much last year about how much they missed having us there, supporting them in person. So I hope to be seeing many of you at virtually every game this year. It's going to be a blast.
Gentlemen, thank you. Hoya Locker Room salute. Enjoy the rest of your Sundays. The best to you and your families, and stay safe.
You too,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Take care.